So we're going to have a look at the profile of Pierbattista Pizzaballa, who has been noted as one of the contenders for the papacy, a very strong candidate. And we have his bio here on Vatican website, but I think his bio on Wikipedia is a lot more extensive. So I'm just going to read through this and just make some commentary on this. So Pierbattista Pizzaballa, interesting to know, he's Pierre being Peter. He's a Franciscan Order of the Friars Minor, and he was born on the 21st of April 1965, making him 60. So a little bit older than John Paul II was when he was elected, and very much in the range that a pope would usually be elected, which is around the age of 65. He's an Italian Catholic prelate, and a lot of people are asking or looking for an Italian again after 3 non-Italian popes, who has served as the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem since 6th of November 2020. A Franciscan friar, he served as the custodes of the Holy Land from 2004 to 2016 and as apostolic administrator of the Latin Patriarch from 2016 to 2020. He was made Cardinal by Pope Francis in 2023. He is considered a possible front-runner for the papacy in 2025 papal conclave following the death of Pope Francis. So Pierbattista Pizzaballa was born in Cologno al Serio, Bergamo, son of Pietro Pizzaballa and Maria Maddalena Tadini. He entered the Franciscan Minor Seminary in Bologna in September 1976, and on 5th of September 1985 he entered their novitiate in Laverna. He made his first vows on the 7th of September 1985 and his perpetual vows in Bologna on the 4th of October 1989. He earned a bachelor's degree in theology from the Pontifical University Antonianum and was ordained a priest on the 15th September 1990 in the Cathedral of Bologna by Cardinal Giacomo Biffi. He obtained his diploma in classical studies in the Archiepiscopal Seminary of Ferrara. He studied biblical theology in the Studium Biblicum Franciscum in Jerusalem in 1993, and then taught biblical Hebrew in the Franciscan Faculty of Biblical Science and Archaeology in Jerusalem. Besides his native Italian, Pizzaballa speaks Hebrew, Arabic, and English. After completing his postgraduate studies, Pizzaballa taught biblical Hebrew in the Franciscan Faculty of Biblical and Archaeological Sciences in Jerusalem. He was responsible for the publication of the Roman Missal in Hebrew in 1995 and translated Hebrew liturgical text into Hebrew. He joined the Franciscans working at the custody of the Holy Land on July 1999 and responsible for pastoral care of the Hebrew-speaking Catholics. On the 9th of May 2001, he was appointed superior of the convent of Saints Simeon and Anna in Jerusalem. And from 2005 to 2008, he served as patriarchal vicar. He was custodes of the Holy Land, head of the Franciscan Priory known as the Custody of the Holy Land from May 2004 to April 2016, having been elected for a 6-year term in 2004, re-elected for a 3-year term in 2010, and reconfirmed for another 3-year term in 2013. In 2008, he was appointed as consultant for the Commission for Relations with Judaism of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity. In 2014, Pope Francis entrusted Pizzaballa for organising the Peace Prayer in the Vatican Gardens, which brought together Israeli President Shimon Peres and Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. It's interesting, this 2004 event that happened in the Vatican, that happened the day before the eve of Pentecost in Rome, and there was a comet flying over Rome that day called La Bestia, the Beast, that exact day, because the day that Pizzaballa was going to the Vatican, we actually travelled together in the same metro in Rome to the Vatican, because I remember meeting Father Pierbattista on the metro in Rome. He was dressed in a Franciscan habit, and I went up to him and I shook his hands. And as he was going to the Vatican that day. And so I went to visit a friend of mine, and I remember I had just met earlier that year Patriarch Bartholomew in Istanbul, and I remember passing the entrance to Santa Marta that day before the Pentecost and seeing the Patriarch there, and I said, "Oh, what's the Patriarch in the Vatican for?" And it was for this prayer service. It was actually the first time that Muslim prayers were offered in Vatican State, which is interesting. I did a video on this last year, but I suppose it's interesting that you can meet a priest on the metro who may be at the moment the next pope. Anyway, Pizzaballa criticised Israel's construction of a barrier between the West Bank and Jerusalem and participated in protests against it in 2015. He also, before becoming a bishop, criticised Palestinian leaders for blaming all problems on the Israeli occupation of Gaza and the West Bank. On the 24th of June 2016, Pope Francis nominated Pizzaballa as Apostolic Administrator sede vacante of the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem and appointed him titular Archbishop of Verbe. On the 10th of September 2016, he was consecrated by Cardinal Leonardo Sandri, Archbishop Faud Tual, and Bishop Francesco Beschi in Bergamo Cathedral. The appointment of an Italian broke with tradition, as such posts were normally assigned to members of the ethnic group they predominantly served, such as the immediate successors, a Palestinian and a Jordanian respectively. 2016, Pizzaballa joined the Order of the Holy Sepulchre and became Pro-Grand Prior and then Grand Prior upon the appointment as Latin Patriarch. On 31st of May 2017, he was appointed a member of the Congregation of Oriental Churches. On the 24th of October 2020, Pizzaballa was appointed Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem by Pope Francis. He leads the board of the directors of Caritas Jerusalem. On 9th of July 2023, Pope Francis announced he planned to create him as a cardinal in the consistory scheduled for the 30th of September 2023. At that consistory, he was made cardinal priest of San Onofrio, the official church of the Order of the Holy Sepulchre. On the 23rd of October 23, Pizzaballa condemned Hamas's actions as barbaric and offered himself as a hostage in exchange for captive Israeli children held in Gaza during the Gaza war. And that made headlines worldwide. And I'm sure he would have followed through with that offer. He has advocated for an end to the Gaza war and Israeli occupation of Palestine. Pizzaballa was a signatory to the statement on escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which condemned attacks on civilians, called for de-escalation, and called for humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. His statement was criticised by Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen. On his visit to Bethlehem on Christmas Eve 2023, Pizzaballa donned a Palestinian keffiyeh and expressed a desire for peace in the region. He co-signed the Christian message released by the patriarchs and heads of the churches in Jerusalem, advocating Christians to refrain from public celebration of the holiday in solidarity with those affected by the war. Cardinal Pizzaballa is opposed to the blessing of same-sex couples and the readmission of divorcees to the sacraments. However, he has stated that he desires a pontificate in continuity with that of Pope Francis, openness to migrants, and a greater role of women in the church. So anyway, this is the profile, a lot longer than what you have here, but basically the same as what you have here on the Vatican profile. I suppose what the points that stand out here: he is in the age group that cardinals normally become popes, which is 65 is the average age. He is an Italian, and there's been a lot of noted push for an Italian. He speaks English fluently, Hebrew, Arabic, obviously his native Italian. So he is a biblical expert. He is exposed to a lot of the rites in Israel. So in Israel, you would have been exposed to the Armenian rite, to the various Orthodox rites, so he'd be very well connected in the Christian world because of his position in Israel, and so he would be more sensitive to, say, the traditional movement, traditional Latin Mass, for simply that reason. And I think he would be a more moderate, a more consolidating figure. However, he has no Curia experience. He's never worked in the Vatican. But neither did John Paul II when he was elected at 58 in 1978. So, does he stand a chance? He absolutely does. I think he will stand out. He's got energy, he's got youth, he's got experience, world experience. He's a solid faith experience. So we'll see where this goes. He's definitely somebody to be looking out at if he comes out on the loggia. What name might he take? Who knows? Could be he could be a Benedict XVII, a Pius XIII. Who knows? Maybe a Francis II, since he is a Franciscan. One thing to note: this is the first time in 255 years that we have a May conclave, and during the last May conclave, they elected a Franciscan. He happened to be the Franciscan who suppressed the Jesuits. There we hope, but it's just an anecdote to keep in mind. The first May conclave in 255 years, and the last time we had a May conclave, it was a Franciscan that was elected. Anyway, this is the profile of Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, one of the cardinals I've actually met when he was a priest back in 2014, as he went to the Vatican. So it will be interesting to see if he becomes the next pope, and who knows, it's going to be an interesting number of weeks as we proceed towards this May election. God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.